In 1947, the world witnessed one of the most dramatic and heartbreaking events in modern history, the partition of India, a moment that changed the fate of millions forever. But behind the seemingly straightforward division of land lay stories of power, pain, betrayal, and human courage that have never been fully told. Buckle up, because this story is not just about borders, it's about the lives of those who lived through this chaos. The seeds of partition were sown long before 1947. The British Empire, having ruled India for over 2 centuries, was on the brink of collapse after World War II. The British had grown tired. India had grown restless. The question was, who would control this vast land once the British left? Enter 3 powerful figures: Jawaharlal Nehru, leader of the Indian National Congress; Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the voice of the All India Muslim League; and Mahatma Gandhi, the beloved figure of non-violent resistance. At first there was hope. Hope for a unified India, an India where Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs and others could live together in peace as one nation. But as tensions grew, so did the differences. Gandhi, the embodiment of peaceful coexistence, envisioned a united India. But Jinnah had different ideas. He feared that Muslims would be marginalized in a Hindu-majority country. In his words, "We are a nation and we want a nation of our own." And so, the stage was set for the impossible, partition. But here's where the story takes a chilling twist. Enter Lord Louis Mountbatten, the last British Viceroy of India. His job was to oversee the withdrawal of the British and ensure that the transition was smooth. But did you know? Mountbatten was given only a few months, yes, months, to execute one of the most complex territorial divisions the world had ever seen. No one had anticipated the chaos that would follow. And here's the first surprise. Mountbatten, instead of leading with a plan for peaceful coexistence, decided to opt for the quickest solution. Why? Because the British were eager to leave, and Mountbatten was under pressure to resolve the issue fast. The result? A rushed partition plan. In the end, they drew the new borders on the map in a matter of weeks. Weeks. No time for careful planning, no time for dialogue, and this would prove disastrous. On August 14, 1947, the Partition of India was announced. The Radcliffe Line, named after the British lawyer who drew it, carved the country into 2 India and Pakistan. But what was as a peaceful division between Hindus and Muslims became a catastrophic split that tore families apart, divided communities, and ignited communal violence on an unprecedented scale. The most shocking part? The borders were drawn with no regard for the deep-rooted religious and cultural ties between the people living there. Entire villages, communities, and families were split down the middle. A Christian family in one part of the border, a Muslim family just across it. As the borders were drawn, the human cost was immediate. Over 10 million people were forced to leave their homes, Hindus and Sikhs fleeing to India, Muslims to Pakistan. Refugees crowded the streets, and the trains became their only hope. But some trains didn't make it. Entire families perished in gruesome acts of violence. Surprising as it may sound, some areas saw families switch their religions just to be with their loved ones. A Hindu man would declare himself Muslim to stay with his wife in Pakistan. A Sikh woman would convert to Islam to escape the horrors of violence. It was survival, not religion, that mattered most. As the violence spread, Gandhi fasted for peace, desperate to halt the bloodshed. Meanwhile, Mountbatten, who had promised a peaceful transition, was left to witness the failure of his rushed plan. He could not undo the damage. In fact, the division he oversaw was merely the beginning. And here's another twist. Mountbatten, who had hoped to leave with the glory of a successful mission, would later face heavy criticism for his role in the carnage. The British too were blamed for their hurried departure, leaving a region in chaos. But what if I told you Mountbatten's rushed decision wasn't just due to pressure from Britain? The real shock? Mountbatten had personal motives. Just before India's independence, Mountbatten had a conversation with Nehru. The viceroy was leaving, but he knew the country would need years to recover. But Mountbatten was eager to return to Britain, and in his haste, he made decisions that cost millions of lives. Moreover, Mountbatten's wife, Edwina, had a close relationship with Nehru. While historians argue the details, it's often speculated that Mountbatten's involvement in India's partition may have been influenced by his personal and political ambitions, wrapped up in a whirlwind of power and prestige. In the midst of the violence, one more shocking moment changed everything. Gandhi, the man who had fought for peace and unity, was assassinated in January 1948, just months after the partition. His death was a symbol of the broken dream of a united India, and his absence left a gaping hole in the heart of the nation. And so, in 1947, India and Pakistan were born. Two nations, two identities born from the ashes of division. But the scars of partition have never truly healed. The memories linger, passed down through generations. To this day, families remain divided, the emotional toll never fully acknowledged. And as we look at the modern-day borders between India and Pakistan, we can't help but wonder, could things have been different? What if history had taken a different turn? The partition of India in 1947 is not just a story of borders, but of humanity, of survival, of love, of loss. It's a reminder that the decisions made in times of crisis can echo across generations. Today, the memories of partition continue to shape the identities of India and Pakistan. And in the end, the most important lesson is this: the cost of division is always greater than the cost of unity. Thank you for watching. If you found this story moving, share it and let the world remember the untold stories of history.